Can police search my hotel room and the guest registry? The Minnesota Supreme Court came out with a brand new decision today, and it's the middle of May 2020. And the case came out from a check forgery situation, but the defendant, although they were convicted at the district court, appealed it all the way to the Minnesota Supreme Court. And here's what happened. Law enforcement got suspicious about a guy, so they went to the hotel desk, as like where you register, and they asked the hotel to give them the hotel registry so they could find out whether this guy was in a particular hotel room. And they looked up his name and phone number and address in it, and then went up into the room and knocked on the door as they were looking for him. That's how they found him. And then they ended up searching the hotel room after he gave them consent. And they found some bad things in the hotel room, and he was convicted for that. But he appealed that and said the police should have never been able to go to the hotel and just ask for the registry information that he gave and to find out if he was in the hotel. And the Supreme Court, in a divided decision, but the majority said that is unconstitutional under Minnesota's Constitution. So when people make constitutional arguments, there's two ways they can do it. You can argue that it violates the federal Constitution, which is the United States Constitution, or you could argue that it violated your state's Constitution. And in Minnesota, we have a law that says even if something does not violate the federal Constitution, like the Fourth Amendment for search and seizure, Minnesota's Constitution has to be at least as protective as the federal Constitution, but in some situations can be more protective than the federal Constitution. And that's what the majority in the Minnesota Supreme Court said today. They said that regardless of whether or not this would have violated the federal Fourth Amendment to the Constitution, this violates what's called Article 1, Section 10 of the Minnesota Constitution, which is our search and seizure provision, kind of like the federal is the Fourth Amendment. Minnesota's is Article 1, Section 10. The Supreme Court said we don't care about whether it violated the federal Constitution or not. In fact, we're not even going to answer that question. We just know this. It violates Minnesota's Constitution under Article 1, Section 10. They said that from now on, law enforcement has to have what's called a reasonable, articulable suspicion if they want to search the guest registry at a hotel. That's the same sort of thing that police have to have if they want to pull a car over. Reasonable, articulable suspicion. They can't just do it on a hunch. That's the same sort of thing they got to have if they want to stop someone walking down the street. Reasonable, articulable suspicion. They have to have at least that. They can't just have a hunch or a whim or idle curiosity. It's got to be more than that. And that's the decision that the Minnesota Supreme Court reached today. There's another part where that's common. You've heard of cases where some states have these DWI checkpoints where you can just be driving down a road. They've got all the police barricades out there, and they just stop everybody right there at the barricades and see if they look like they've been drinking and driving. That's constitutional under the United States or federal Constitution, but some states have outlawed it. Minnesota is one of them that says we can't do that here either. Why? Because Minnesota Supreme Court long ago said that might be okay under the federal Constitution, but remember, Minnesota's Constitution has to be at least as protective, but it could be more protective. And that's another example where the Minnesota Supreme Court in the past said our Constitution is more protective in that instance. So this is another example of that. Law enforcement, if you have a hotel room that's searched and they went out to find out whether you were the person who rented the hotel room or who did, they have to have a reasonable, articulable suspicion before they do that. They can't just go hunting around for it and then put their case together after that. If you have more questions about hotel searches, I'm attorney Ryan Pacyga. You can find me at arrestedmn.com or call me at 612-339-5844.